Thanks so much for joining me on the Slice of Healthcare podcast. How are you today?
Doing well. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm excited. You and I were able to meet virtually at the latest conference, the
Health,
HLTH
yeah.
conference. Yeah, health.
Yeah.
It was definitely interesting. I do look forward to it being in Boston next year. I'm hoping that we can do it in person. I thought they did a very good job of hosting it digitally, but I
I
still think
completely
there's
agree.
nothing like the
Yeah.
in-person networking,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm super excited to have you on. I think we should just dive right into it. I'd love if you could tell the audience more about you and your background, and then we'll dive into your company.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds good. I started my career in medical research, was both throughout undergrad and thereafter doing medical research at Hopkins. I really do trace a lot of like the origins of Clearstep and the idea and even just the desire to experiences working in the lab and working in medical research. It's a completely different environment, of course, to be like innovating in academia, but still it was innovating, right? It was, the whole goal was to push the frontiers and do something new and, find something novel that is able to then translate to something that has tremendous impact for as many people as possible. Um, but ultimately, took my career into healthcare consulting, wanted to really understand more of the industry that I was in. And so spent, a few years at Accenture doing strategy and analytics work, all in healthcare. That really then gave me the proper lens that ultimately led to Clearstep. A lot of work and projects in the space of trying to leverage data and analytics and digital more broadly in new ways in healthcare. And so there are a bunch of different things that I did, but ultimately a lot of those experiences led to the kind of the macro level insights that led to Clearstep of there how much inefficiencies in care routing lead to wasted spend, how many missed opportunities there are for providers to actually deliver the right care at the right time, and just generally the tremendous need for better digital ways to engage patients to help them get to the right level of care. But yeah, and of course, like it's way beyond me. We have a couple co-founders, and really it was like the convergence of all our experiences that led to the genesis of the company. With, one of my co-founders, Bilal, who at the time was in the middle of his MD PhD program at Northwestern, and had a lot of the micro level insights that we needed, and the clinical backgrounds and networks to be able to get us off the ground in healthcare, get access to the right data and information that we needed. And then, there's Dave, our CTO, who spent the last 10 years, Dropbox and Mozilla and Bloomberg. So really had the technical chops that we needed to build, the solution. So more than just me, that's kind of the founding team's quick background.
Excellent. And can you talk us through the journey, like when someone, let's say you're all set, an organization signs up to like work with you,
Yeah.
what does that process look like once they're ready to go?
For the user or for the organization?
Let's go with both, if that's okay. I would like to
Yeah,
hear
sure.
both.
Yeah, sure. So we're a B2B2C solution, right? We're selling to healthcare organizations. They're licensing our software. We configure it for them and for their care resources that they have. So the way that works is, say there's a health system. They recognize the need to provide better digital channels for patients to be able to find and access the right care within their ecosystem of care resources. We all know like how large and complex health systems are. There's usually a dozen, maybe a couple dozen different hospitals, dozens of urgent cares, outpatient clinics, testing centers, imaging centers. It's like very difficult to know where within one specific health system you should actually go to get the right care. Yet they have it all, right? Health systems have every type of care generally. So really what Clearstep does, first of all, is just, we provide a symptom checking or bot like interface where users can search their symptoms and ultimately get guided to the exact right level of care. So we configure those, the way we route users which is, everything from self-care at home to call 911 now to, dental care, primary care, virtual care, retail clinic, urgent care, poison center, labor and delivery, right? There's all these various endpoints, and we basically map those to the system at a geography level and say, okay, if a user is here and they get this endpoint, how do we direct them? Can we integrate into your scheduling resources? Can we integrate into your provider data to be able to surface the most useful and actionable data to the user, to provide them guidance on what they should do for care? And the basic level is clinical intelligence. That's what we bring to the table. We can really accurately guide them to the right point of care, considering what's clinically relevant. Then it's, how do we use your information to say, well, here's what's convenient, here's what's available now, here's what is in network for your insurance plan. And so basically what it looks like, to directly answer the question, when someone signs up to use Clearstep, it's really just working through an initial phase of doing that kind of mapping and configuration of how we route users to the system's actual resources. And it could be payer. We work with payers and telemedicine companies and some retail companies as well. But just configuring those endpoints, and then on the user side, what it's about is generally these systems get pretty significant volume to their digital assets, their homepage, their mobile app. Like in aggregate, a lot of people are actually going to these places, and even more people are just going online to look for healthcare information. So part of the idea is, let's capture your existing users that are already going to your homepage and your mobile app, and let's make it really easy for them to figure out exactly what they need and get that actual care. So that means, maybe putting a widget on a homepage, putting some tiles on a homepage, like putting various CTAs or calls to action across your digital properties into, not sure what you need for care, start here, check your symptoms. And sometimes that involves more proactive outreach and marketing too, like taking people, if you're a regional health system, taking people Googling your symptoms or Googling their symptoms near you and geographies near you, and targeting those symptom searches to land them into your white labeled configured experience of, now check your symptoms, and at the end you're going to get presented options within our care ecosystem. And it's not about trying to just bring in more volume, right? Here are people who actually are looking for care and are experiencing symptoms, and we're objectively triaging people to what the clinically relevant source of care is. And if self-care is the right thing to do, that's what we say. But the idea is, if you can reach more of these people, these online healthcare consumers, even though you're going to route some people away, you're going to be able to bring in the right patients and deliver the right kind of care.
Interesting. How, in your space, how important too is that user experience? I know I feel like in this day and age, user experience, no matter which industry or kind of niche you are within healthcare, is so important, more than it ever was. But in your opinion, why I guess is it so important in your space?
Well, yeah, that's a really good question. Let me put it this way. Our users are people who are not feeling well and just want to figure out what to do, right? Like you in that moment of, I really don't want to deal with anything besides knowing how I can feel better, it's like paramount to deliver a user experience that facilitates exactly that information exchange. What's wrong? Here's what you should do. Here are options. Here's what's convenient. Here's what you can do right now to start feeling better. So we take that exact lens to our product build approach, our design thinking approach, and how we iterate on the product over time based on the actual user feedback that we get. We collect a lot of user feedback, whether it's just macro level data and KPIs, but we collect very specific user feedback via free form feedback forms and things like that. So we're always iterating the direction of, in recognition that these people aren't feeling well, how do we make this experience brief enough yet comprehensive enough and useful and actionable enough to deliver value at the end, which is great. Now I know what I can do for care. I can launch a virtual visit. I can book this appointment. It's been made easy for me. In a few minutes, I've gone from what do I do to answers. So yeah, it's it's of critical importance, more than a lot of other things. Like, I mean, you might deal with like a slightly unoptimized experience for booking an Uber or like, whatever it might be. But when you're really not feeling well, it becomes even more important.
Yeah, I mean, your attitude can be a little not you're definitely, I don't care who you are, you're not in the right state of mind when you're not feeling well. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, you don't want to deal with the world. You just want to find an answer and get help. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Where can people learn more about the company?
At our site, www.clearstep.health. Yeah, you can reach us through there. There's a lot more information on the actual product and solution set, who we work with and how. So yeah.
Okay, and I'll throw any social channels, your website link into the show notes so the audience will be able to easily
Cool.
find you.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks again for joining me on the Slice of Healthcare podcast. It means a lot. Let's definitely stay in touch. I look forward to following the progress of Clearstep and then just staying in touch in general.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on. This was great. Yeah, that's
Thanks so
good.
much. Absolutely.
What was the total time on that?